Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a quick one. I'm going to show you the latest addition to my ThinkPad junkie collection and share why I personally think it's one of the best bang for buck ThinkPads out there, even though it's not the cheapest. I found this first generation T15g on eBay. Expectedly, the seller had basic specs in their listing: i9 processor, RTX 2080 graphics card, 4K touchscreen, and other stuff. I did notice a few things special about it, however, which I'll talk about later. After a little back and forth with the seller, we closed at around $1,100. It took its sweet time getting to the Philippines, but when it finally arrived, I wasted no time opening it up. Since this is a 15-inch laptop, I'll quickly compare it to the T580 here. First thing that stands out is how thick it is. Viewed side by side, it's almost twice as thick as the T580. That factor carries over the weight when I unscientifically weigh them by feel here. The T15g is clearly more workstation than it is portable. Despite drawbacks in the size and weight department, the T15g exudes build quality that I haven't seen since my gateway drug, the Thinkpad W550S. I mentioned noticing a few special things that the seller left unspecified, so what were they? First, the X-Rite color calibration sticker. The seller's listing showed this in some of the photos. The presence of this sticker means that the laptop's LCD panel was color calibrated from the factory and that all of the color space calibration files for the specific serial number and LCD panel combo are stored in the cloud. I did a clean Windows install upon receipt of the laptop, and restoring all of the profiles was a breeze with Lenovo's X-Rite app. It also gives me choices on which color spaces to work with, but I keep it in sRGB or DCI-P3 most of the time. Second, the 4K display. Sure, the seller mentioned that this was a touchscreen display, but it turned out to be so much more. Sifting through the product specifications reference sheet, PSREF for short, reveals that all touch panels are OLED panels. This setup allows the screen to output blacks deep enough for 100,000:1 contrast ratio. It also has 100% DCI-P3 color coverage, 400 nit SDR brightness, and 500 nit HDR brightness, which are all awesome to have. Lastly, a welcome surprise. The internal battery had less than 40 charge cycles on it when I checked using HW Info. There was no way to know this from the listing, of course, but it was a nice stroke of luck. We recently got a T480 for under $300. This was a little over $1,000. Calling both units bang for buck sounds pretty unhinged, but hear me out. Getting the obvious one out of the way, I do a lot of photo and video editing, and having a color-calibrated display panel was a huge one for me. I very much enjoy taking photos when I travel, and I print a lot of these photos using my old trusty Canon Pro 10 printer. Keeping outputs predictable is very important. I've been using the free version of DaVinci Resolve to edit most of the videos in my channel. It's extremely full-featured for a free version, but real-time rendering is limited to the CPU only. Prior to this T15g, I got by with an old MSI GE72 gaming laptop, which frequently skipped and crashed during edits. Thankfully, that hasn't been the case with the i9-10885H processor in the T15g. Yes, this video you're watching right now is the first one I ever rendered on it. So, the photo and video editors don't ask much of the graphics card. What's the NVIDIA RTX 2080 Super GPU for then? Well, I purchased some games during the last major Steam sale, but I haven't had the chance to install them yet. That's where this graphics card fits in. It's a few generations old now, but benchmark sites show that it's still able to hold its own versus newer 3060 GPUs and the like. Individually, the features that I just talked about aren't really anything special. They're being bundled together and delivered in a classic ThinkPad package, however, makes the $1,100 price a steal, for me at least. Newer GPU combos and similar workstation formats tend to fetch at least a few $100s more, and more than half the time, you don't even get color-calibrated screens as part of the deal. The specs I got the T15g in ought to last me a good few years of photo editing, content creation, and light gaming. All of that said, I'm not just going to call it a day and do nothing about all of the empty ports in this ThinkPad. There are a total of 4 RAM slots and only 2 are currently in use. Same goes for SSD storage. While a 1TB drive was installed from the factory, another M.2 PCIe slot remains empty. Moving forward, I'll install as much as 128 gigs of RAM and an additional SSD drive in the T15g. I might also do a repaste to lower CPU temperatures a little. There will be DIY videos coming out of the upgrades, of course, so please do subscribe if you want to see them once they're out. I promise not to spam your feed with clickbaity thumbnails and the like. In the meantime, there ought to be a bunch of video suggestions popping up right about now. Please give them a watch if you want to see more DIY work. Thank you for staying till the end, and I'll see you next time.